Next up, a very special co-host is joining us from Canada. Kyle McNeil is a contributor at Hip Hop Canada, writer, producer, music video creator, the founder of True Aspect Media. Also, our guest that we will be speaking to is the fiery, talented Canadian rapper Zaze, whose career spans for more than 15 years, touring with the likes of Tech N9ne, D12, Naughty by Nature, ICP, and most recently opened for Onyx. Kyle and Zaze have a long-term collaboration working together creating music videos, as well as partnering in their company called True Aspect Media and the music label previously mentioned, which Zaze is signed to, called 90 Nickel. Give me one sec while I try to connect with these guys. Welcome to the show. Who do I have on the line first?
You got Zaze right here.
Hey, Zaze. Welcome to the show. One sec. We have Kyle calling in right now. One sec.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, Kyle. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
hello.
thanks for having me on.
Ah, great. Okay, we're connected. I don't know we had a little bit of a technical issue, but I did already introduce you guys. So thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I was listening to Gerald before you. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. He has an interesting journey, that's for sure. So where are you guys calling in from today?
I'm from in the GTA area, so just outside of Toronto. I live in Pickering.
Okay, and what about you, Zaze?
It's kind of same way as I'm up in Oshawa right now, but GTA outskirts.
Okay,
I work
cool.
in Toronto, so in and out of the city every day.
Awesome. Okay, all GTA, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right.
So how long have you guys been working together?
For about the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I've personally known Kyle for I want to say it's getting close to 20 years now.
Almost 20 years. Yeah, almost 20 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we've been
okay.
buddies.
So you guys.
Yeah, buddies for a long time, and kind of I started doing Well, everyone kind of starts out when they're in high school doing their thing, trying to be cool, getting in with the party crowd and stuff like that, and then it kind of turned serious after that. And Kyle was just always along for the ride, and about 5 years ago, he always wanted to get himself involved and ended up picking up a camera, and ever since that day, he's done great things for himself. So I'm proud of the guy myself.
That is really cool that you guys support each other. Yeah, support each other, and you've known each other for so long. So, Zaze, what was your childhood like?
Personally, me, I bounced around a lot when I was a kid. Like I said, I was born in Scarborough. I probably lived in about 3 different houses by the time I was 2 years old, and then moved to Pickering, lived there for a few years, and I think all in all, I've lived in about 16 houses in my life. And that's like, I've lived in a good solid 2 for the past 15 years. So that says something for the beginning of my life. And I went to 7 different schools in 9 years. And most of it was from moving around. I did get kicked out of one school, but that's a different story. But
we might have to get into it though, but okay.
But yeah, so basically I've always, like I said, bounced around GTA. I lived in Whippy, and then I bought my own house since, getting your, can you swear on this podcast?
Of course. You can.
It's fun. I actually just did a radio interview with Ottawa Radio a couple days ago, and you couldn't, so I'm sure there's a few edits in there, and I had to really watch myself, so just want to make sure.
Oh, well, thanks for asking. Swear away.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so, realistically, having a kid when I was 27 years old, and it's somewhat sad to say, but I have no regrets in the way I lived my life. That's when I really got my shit together and decided I need to buy a house and, start to provide for my family, so to speak, even though I'm not with her mother anymore. I still have a family in her, and now I have a fiance right now. So it's, we got to get our shit together at some point in life, but I partied pretty friggin' hard for a while, and through my mid-20s was when we started touring a lot, and we cross-Canada toured about 5 times at the same time, and our first tour started with Naughty by Nature, D12, Classified, Joe Buttons, and Royce the 5'9". And that was, it was actually a fantastic experience. It was a little, I don't know, like, it was kind of an overshot, so to speak, for your first tour, because we had this man, Kino. I'm sure Kino's still out there doing his thing, but he was basically the tour manager. He was Buttons, and I know he was at least Royce's manager. I don't know if he managed the whole crew, and he was literally running everything to the point of having limos picking us up at hotels, making sure we're escorted in the back of clubs with bottles and food waiting for us, and you're going and playing the club and really feeling like you've hit that next level. And by the time we hit that second tour, it was Naughty by Nature, which was amazing because we're out with some legends on the road. But they had their manager's name was Clive, and he was an old dude, so I don't know if he's still doing it. He might be, but he basically was just solely looking out for the interests of them, and it was like, yo, you guys better fucking be where you need to be when you need to be there, and that's basically it. And there'd be a time when we'd be like sitting in our second city, say like Winnipeg or something like that, and the phone would ring, and they'd be like, why aren't you guys in a fucking cab? And we're like, what? And they're like, what are you doing? And we're like, nobody's coming to pick us up? You're not going to let us know? Like, so it was kind of a shell shock. We're like, oh, this is not just how tour life was after the first tour. We just got, we got spoiled, basically.
Okay, so you were used to you were used to something very different. But I saw in my research that you've done over 250 shows since 2005.
Yeah, so basically if you want to like root it back to the very beginning, when we started out, I want to say we were probably like 20 years oldish, and that's when we started doing like local shows. Like obviously you're not getting booked on bills. You haven't really proven yourself. You haven't done much. We released a few songs, maybe a mixtape here and there, and me and my buddy were in a group called AFAM, me and my boy Flex, with another couple guys that we kind of started. And
those were your friends from school, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And my other boy Peter Jackson, who's actually done a lot of great things for himself. He solely lives off what he makes off music, and he basically runs shows, does his own videos. Anyway, I'm not going to plug him too much right now, but but he's doing very well for himself. So he was with my other boy, K2, and he's now a tattoo artist, funny enough. But so the two of them decided, because we were kind of what was up and popping in our cities, decided to get together, and we formed Nino Nickel. And because it was kind of just bringing the strength of two arms together to form one. It was a good move for us at the time, and it made us take things more seriously. We started entering competitions. We won a couple and stuff like that. And then that's when we started booking local shows, because we had our own crowds to bring out. And we literally the first show we ever did was in a town called Peterborough out here in Ontario. And we packed actually, I think it was 2 school buses, which is realistically was probably like 150 people. It was nothing insane, but at the same time, this is all our people just coming out to wild out to our music. And that kind of started something where we're building relationships with club owners. And then there was a club out here called Big Sexy, which turned into Marquee, it's been a ton of different things of changing name. It hasn't really changed much ownership. It's just changed names a lot to rebrand. But we got in with the owner there, which Peter Jackson now owns a portion of that club. Like, that's how deep things got, where now it's called the Oshawa Music Hall, and that's literally the place where any big show and any artist that comes around on a tour will be performing at that spot if they're performing in Oshawa. So it's kind of a home club, and it's a good look. Yeah, so
that's amazing.
It started with doing that type of stuff, a lot of local shows, and I want to say we probably packed in a good 50 to 100. You get to a point where you really lose count because you're just grinding and trying to get the next one and get the next one and get the next one. Like, we got to a point where we have nights where we do 2 shows in one night. So like you'd be packing 3-4 shows into one weekend. And then you add like tour life where you're out doing 9 to 11 shows in 11 to 14 days. So like when you add that all up, it's crazy how you can do 50 shows in like 70 days and not even realize that just went by. So At that point, so basically it went from us doing the local shows, gaining the trust, gaining a following, And then and I'll be honest, my buddy PJ was really the businessman. We were just rappers that wanted to do our thing and handled ourselves professionally within, recording, making sure we had music product and performing and just being basically putting out the product, like being soldiers and workers to our cause. And he was the guy behind the scenes handling the business with the club owners, and so to speak. And then he booked the first tour, which was getting on that one. And that's when we went out on the road. That was actually me, Peter Jackson, and my boy Risco, who was DJ Risco at the time. He's a family man now, but at the time we didn't have a solid DJ. And by the second tour, DJ Dames Nellis, who became our DJ for the next period of time, and PJ worked with him a hell of a lot. And I think we did, I want to say he did probably 7 or 8 tours total. I did at least 3 or 4 with him. And then he became the Mix 99.9, which is like the marquee top 40 radio station out here in like Toronto, like marquee radio, one of their main DJs. And literally I'm seeing him on TV and Much Music. And so he started to do, everyone kind of like fell into spots doing very well for themselves and moved away. But we all still kept doing what we did, just in our own capacities and new environments and stuff like that. So
so at what point did you kind of go out off on your own?
So that's what I was kind of leading to. So by the third tour we did, what the hell was the third tour actually? Why can't I even? It was it's silly that I can't think of this. We did Busta Rhymes, and then it was Back on My Bullshit tour. And that was when. So every time we go out, and the thing that I kind of like, we put ourselves in a position where we expect to succeed, and we don't play the fan. So we'll never go up to people for autographs. We never, personally, I don't even introduce myself to artists until they introduce themselves to me, and it's not this, trying to be an asshole or trying to be, it's just basically I'm out here to do business. I imagine that you get bothered by people all the time. I'm not here to bother you. You're out here to do business. Let's do our business. And if we come together and, at some point, hey, you're having a drink, you want to have a drink, cheers, and then we start talking, so be it. And that's how literally always would happen about halfway along, because we'd gain the mutual respect from the artists on the tour, being like, man, you guys are out here just grinding, and you're really not doing what most people do. And it's it was a good feeling at the same time. It showed us we had the right mindset within what we were doing. So
would you say that's something? Sorry, would you say that's something that sets you apart from other artists in the hip hop world?
I'd say that sets us apart, but with a group of other successful artists. You have to be humbled within yourself, and you want to, don't get me wrong, if there's a moment arises, I was a huge Tech N9ne fan, and I still am, don't get me wrong, but favorite artist at the time. And then we went on tour with Tech N9ne, and that one for me was I want to say something to this guy, but there's nothing. I'm not going to act like a guy with a chick at a prom, doing some stupid shit, looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
basically, I'm not putting myself in that position, because I don't really have anything collective or valuable to say to the man right now, and until I do, nothing will be said. So, and then we ended up, it was yo, come on our tour bus after 4 shows and come kick it with us. And then we're all right, so we go on the tour bus, and then that's when we started shooting the shit, and I started actually asking him a few more personal questions, and I'm used to really getting involved with things. And that was out of interest, because I was humbled by the man. What I meant by you got to kind of be humbled within yourself is if you're trying to do something and you're reaching a level, you have to think, without being cocky about it in any way, that you're good enough to do what you do. If you don't think you're good enough, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it at all. I'm saying you should be back home working and practicing, fine-tuning your craft to build that confidence within yourself to own every single move of what you do within your career. So if you're on the road, you should have that confidence within yourself to know that you're a fan of people, but you want people to be a fan of you once they see what you can do in the same time. So you want to hope to gain a mutual respect. And that's why I don't know if even humbled was the right word, but like appreciate yourself for who you are and bring your food to the table before you want to start talking about all the food that's on the table, if you know what I mean, hypothetically.
So know your value, basically. That's
yeah.
That's really great insight.
And you know, self-awareness is a big thing in life, like regardless in general, right? So like not within just your work, but yeah. So if you're not a very self-aware human being, you're probably not getting very far, or you're probably being misunderstood everywhere you go because you don't think you're doing what you're doing, or you don't realize the effect you're having based on the things that you're doing. So
very true.
But yeah,
so I want to bring you back just a little bit, if that's okay. I want to know what inspired you in rap and hip hop in the first place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even like sorry, I was just taking a drink of water.
Okay.
It's not even for me. It's like a bigger picture thing where growing up as a kid, I was always like, you know, watched movies all the time and listened to as many albums or CDs as I could. Actually, you know, I was back in the time of cassettes when I was a real little kid. I remember my first cassette was LL Cool J, and I was on to the first CD at Crisscross at 8 years old. But
me too.
Yeah. But at the same time, I grew up like my parents would listen to hard rock to classic rock to like my dad loves like, you know, the Led Zeppelins to Rush to all that type of music, and my mom grew up listening to Madonna and all that type of stuff, and there was even a lot of Motown like Jackson 5 and Four Tops and stuff like that going around my house. That actually was on old Disney cartoons. So I remember when I used to watch old Disney cartoons with Mickey Mouse and Goofy and everything, they used to play a whole bunch of Motown stuff. So that's like ingrained in my head from being a child. But so music has always been like, my dad's a drummer, his brother's a drummer, his brother's a guitarist. So it's a big part of my family. My dad told me that when I was a baby, to put me to sleep, they would play music. And a lot of times when they'd be hanging out in the living room and like when I was in my rocker, they'd just put me by a speaker and they'd say you'd pass out like in no time. So I just have this feeling that like music was ingrained in my body. And if not, it was forced into me. But so within that, but at the same time, I've always been, because of movies and everything like that, I've always wanted to be, as a kid, you want to be famous. Growing old, you don't want to be, now, like right now, my stature in life is I would love to be making enough money to only be doing and further growing within the thing that I love. Because right now I work a 9-to-5 job. I grind through music. I'm doing the video stuff with Kyle when I can. I'm a father as well, that I have my kid 50% of the time. I'm wearing a lot of different hats right now, trying to do a lot of different things, and I'd like to bring it all together and, you know, make life a little better for everyone, including myself. So that's the end goal. But back then, obviously, and especially as a little kid, I want to be famous. You know, you want to, and for me, I'm even a fantasy guy. Like at 8 years old, I want to be like a ninja or some shit, but like the most famous ninja in the world, or, you know, some dumb shit like that. And then by 10 or 11, I literally wanted to be a pro athlete. Sports was I'm still a heavy sports fan. So I wanted to wanted to play whatever the hell sport I could play, to just be a famous pro athlete and just compete and grind. And by grade 9, when I hit high school, the legislation in my, like, I don't even know if it was my city or the region, so a bunch of cities, they removed sports away. I don't know. It was like some strikes the teachers had, and I don't know what the hell it was, but anyway, I won't get into that. But they took sports away, no after school extracurricular activity, and basically like the way to get through in sports is to play in high school, to go to a college, and to blah blah blah. So sports became more recreational for me, and then you're in high school, you know, trying to be Mr. Popular, and I'm like, not to be like cocky or anything, but I never had a problem in high school. High school was very easy for me, and through that, I started to just want to be the man at parties, and I had, you know, you run into a few alpha males that are quite like yourself, and then you recognize things in each other, and that's kind of what happened, and then you bring it together, and then it becomes a little more than just wanting to be, you know, Mr. Alpha Male popular guy. It becomes a little more of like, I want to start making music and feeling, when we do something good, I feel good about myself. This is, you know, like anything we do in life, when you do something you want to do and you do it well, or at least decently, you feel good and you want to do it better. So then the drive started coming. That's when the ball started kind of rolling, and then it became more, I won't say more business than pleasure. It kind of got half business, half pleasure, as opposed to being all pleasure. And because I will admit, there were times when we've done crazy things. Like we brought KRS-One down when we were like 20, 21 years old, and he still is a legend, obviously, but at the time it was like he was a relevant legend that younger people knew about. Now a lot of young people don't know who KRS-One is, but and drove down to Toronto in a snowstorm to get him at the Royal York Hotel, which is where they went. They were driving an RV, him and his crew, and then we get there, and our manager at the time, this guy Rich, he was from Long Island, and he actually grew up with, like, I can't even remember, like Mobb Deep or so. He was a G, let's put it that way. He was a very hard man, and he goes into the hotel and immediately recognizes KRS-One's manager, and they have a beef. And then it was like this guy starts going off on us, like, no, we're not doing this. And we're just, young kids trying to, like, take advantage of the best opportunities we've had in our life. And it's like, come on, man, you got to do this. We got to make this happen. What do we got to do to make this right? And then KRS-One literally comes up to us, never talked to him in our life, and he's like, these two need to talk it out. So I'm going to go, like, grab some lunch. You guys go do your thing. We'll come back in, like, an hour. And if they don't have it settled, I'm not going to do this. But I know how much you guys want this. You put a lot of effort into it. So we'll leave them at it, and let's hope it works out. And thank God it did. And we ended up driving back. We did an interview with them at Durham College. And then I want to say 6 months to a year later, we brought Jizza, U-God, and Raekwon down from Wu-Tang, and we did the exact same thing, picked them up at the airport ourselves, took them to the hotels, went to the college, did an interview, brought them by the studio, then went and did our show that night. By the way. Yeah, Kyle was at Durham for that.
I went to Durham College and I watched that. So
that's amazing. This is incredible. Love it.
Mhm. So I mean, there was like all the. Then that's what I mean. Like this is before we did any tours. So there's tons of shows going on all along the way, and just like the building of everything, and then it turned into. I'm trying to, you know what, I'm kind of lost of where the hell I was.
Well, let me ask you this. What did you feel like the first time you were on stage?
Oh, the first time I was on stage, to be honest with you, it was probably a floor. It was such a small club. Like it was like a bar, club, restaurant type deal. And I was probably shitting my pants, I'm not going to lie.
Like, I was probably there for that as well.
Yeah, you probably would.
I can just imagine, Kyle, the evolution that you've seen over the course of 20 years, watching, Zaze go from being scared on stage to a confident performer. So that must have been incredible. What has it been like for you, Kyle, to watch his journey?
It's been great. It's really been inspiring to myself to watch it and strive to do things like that. For me, it wasn't really till a more recent memory that I really got into it, so to speak, with the videos. But yeah, it was great. It was really encouraging, and I loved it.
That's amazing.
And to be honest, he's still coming out to every single show with me, watching me as I still grow, and he's growing now within himself because he's taken all the photography, he's writing articles for Hip Hop Canada right now based on, like, the Onyx show was the last one I did. He's doing articles on singles of, like, well-known artists in our area and stuff like that. So his growth has now, like, exponentially grown parallel while it's great now because now we just help each other within what we're doing. So it's a good thing.
That's beautiful.
The Onyx show is like a story in itself. So.
Ooh, I can't wait. Okay, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, like, just in the sense that it was the last show before the COVID-19 lockdown, which was, the show was on March 11th. And we literally, I personally found out that all the sports leagues were closed down. So I was, like, shocked. And that's when it really kicked in to me that, something serious was happening, and we're not going to be at a show for a long time after that. So I just really had to make the most of it. I don't know, maybe Zaze feels the same way. I'm not sure what was going through his mind at the time, but
Yeah, at the time, to be honest with you, I didn't even really realize what was approaching because I honestly had a trip booked to Dominican for March 13th. So, but I will agree with Kyle where when we were in the club waiting to perform, as our other artists are on stage, we got the news that the NBA had been suspended and the NHL had been suspended. And like I said, we're massive sports fans. And that was like, wow, life's just changed and this sucks. So there definitely was, there was definitely feelings involved at the time, but how, like, I haven't been to my studio since probably the weekend before that. And it's not that I can't go now because my buddy's like, we can be one-on-one and just kind of keep our distance and get work done. So that we kind of opened that possibility a week or so ago. But it's still been, it's something I didn't realize because it's been quite an adjustment. And that's a good point because who knows when, even if there was tours planned that have been canceled when things, like say 2 weeks from now, they open everything back up. Well, do you think someone's going to be ready to perform on a tour that weekend? No, because nobody knows anything right now. So it's going to take everything a long time to get the ball rolling again, right? So, yeah, it's actually a very good point, and it was a good show. And then of all the artists I've opened for and things I've done, Onyx was someone I've never even seen live in my life before. So it was one of these days. But I open or perform with a lot of artists that I've done many shows with. So I don't, if it's on a Wednesday and I got to work, I go and I do my work on stage and I leave. I don't always stay for the whole show. I don't leave right away. I kind of slap a few hands, show a little respect, and then I got to go out and do my thing. But with this one, it was like a thing, like we're staying here, we're taking this whole show in, and now Kyle's got a more responsibility. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Kyle.
Yeah, no worries. That show had a really great lineup. You had Young Stitch was on there and JD Era, so I got some really good photos for all four of the artists. So I was really happy with it.
So who are some of your favorite artists that you've worked with, Zaze?
Well, Tech N9ne, clearly. I've never actually done music with Tech N9ne. But like I said, we've shared a stage together many times. I've probably opened for Tech N9ne alone 13 or 14 times now in my life.
Wow.
So that's a definite one. Vinny Paz is one of my favorite artists, and I've done a show with him. I'm an artist that, like, my homie that I was talking about that I grew up with, Peter Jackson, he's kind of come up where he has done a lot of features to help stepping stone himself along into new pools of conversation. And where in my life I always tried to hold the strength of my music and then take in features from local talent that I thought needed more shine. So, like, I don't just work with anybody. There needs to be a quality of product, but I want it to be on a mutual collaboration level of respect of talent. So to be honest, from literally working side by side with major label artists, other than doing shows, because I've done shows with a ton of people, and sat down and taken in a lot of knowledge from a lot of artists too, which is honestly better than anything you could ask for. But I've worked with Corrupt. I have a record with Trade of Truth, but that wasn't even really shared studio experience. That was more of a collaboration through the internet and bringing verses together and sending them to one studio to be mixed. So Trade of Truth is out of Texas. I got just trying to think right now. I got a record with I've done a lot of records with my buddy PJ, like I said. You know what? I don't think there's too many more, to be honest with you. Like I said, I try to stay away from dropping like $5,000-$10,000 just to make a song big. When I go back to talking about trusting in yourself and what you do, I've really grown within my product, and I'm trying to be recognized within what I do to work on mutual collaborations within artists of my caliber. And now we got guys like Kyle was saying, like Young Stitch, JD Era, and stuff like that are all like, Stitch just won a BET world champion, was it rap battle or something like that? And last year at the Staples Coliseum, like live in front of thousands of people. And like I do tons of records with them. We share studios all the time. What we're doing right here, and it's good because when I came up, I feel like this area, and not talking about Durham, like Durham didn't exist when it came to a scene. Even though we were out here doing it, you were from Toronto. No matter if you lived half an hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half away, you're from Toronto on the big scheme of things, because it's the only thing outside of Toronto that's going to be recognized by other people. And then Toronto, and realistically, wasn't even respected. Drake's the only one that's kind of brought respect to Toronto, but Drake's a different style of hip-hop than I do. I'm more of an aggressive, old-school style of hardcore hip-hop, like Onyx and stuff like that, and like Tech N9ne or Vinny Paz, the people I said. And that to now is like we are finally working on establishing a roots for ourselves where we're gaining respect and putting our area actually on the map, as cliche as it sounds, for the first time, that we're not from Toronto. That like I say, like I know you're far away from us right now, and I don't know where the listeners, I imagine they're all over, so we want to talk with enough of a span of understanding where you're just not saying, you want to represent your hometown at the same time, but you want to talk with a span of understanding where it's not just Greek to somebody, where maybe somebody can understand in relativity where you're from. So we say east of Toronto and stuff like that, right? So, but that is basically, I'm proud of that, to be honest with you, like what we're establishing right now, and that's within caring enough about the fact that we got so much talent within this area that we're in right now that we can take that talent and finally start planting some seeds and growing some trees and creating our own industry out here. And to be honest with you, like Durham itself, I could list 10 artists right now, myself included, so 9 other ones, but that are, in my opinion, bringing a stronger element to what my core of love for hip-hop is than in Toronto right now. So, and that's amazing to me, just in the factor that there's a conversation to be had, because I'm sure we could have that's very arguable, and someone from the roots of Toronto that's got, people doing the same thing could probably sit here and have the same type of conversation with me, just as anyone from any city could. But the fact is that there's a conversation to be had now, and that's something to say within itself, right?
I agree. But you're representing your area. You're representing your people, your area. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And like
your community.
Like, no, and the funny thing is, there's a lot of places in the States that are very well represented, but people don't realize their area or their size. Maybe that, like, what's a good example? Let's say Compton. Compton's a small community in California, but Compton is famous worldwide. Why?
It is. Rappers.
And why is that? Right? It's
they rap about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really like, if you know the story about Compton, it was just like low-income housing to be in a nice area of California, so people didn't have to live near the beaches and actually could be in something that was affordable. But then it turned into what it turned into, inevitably. But yeah, it's funny how these things work. But still, we wouldn't have really known that, because there's thousands of towns like that in the States. There's even towns in Canada. They're everywhere, all over the world, but you know them because these people have put them on the map, right? So. Well,
Wu-Tang is the perfect example. Staten Island wasn't even talked about. It was like not on the map before Wu-Tang. They literally brought.
100%.
So I love what you're saying. Yeah, I have some friends.
Yeah, all of that. Like, we know Marcy Projects because of Nas, Jay-Z. We know, like, I feel like I need to go there and just stand and look up at a building, which I've never done. And, like, because you feel so familiar with it, like you've almost been there before. That's how it is. And, like, Queens, I was a huge Mobb Deep kid in high school, and they came out of Queens. And, like, now you're like, yeah, Queens is hardcore. And, like, the funny thing is, when you become a high stature in a place, you have a responsibility where if you're telling the wrong message about that area, it's going to be thought of worldwide with that message. And it may not be, or if, for example, you may be, like, you have to realize as a listener, you're stepping into someone's world and seeing through their eyes, because sometimes things aren't always what they seem to you to somebody else. But that's what the beauty of music and all this stuff is, right? So, yeah, it's just
brilliant comment. It's
a nice thing. But yeah, so just to break quickly back to like working with artists, like I said, the touring was the biggest thing, where literally we built relationships. Like Royce the 5'9", I'm not going to say we're good boys or nothing, but he knows who I am. If I saw him, we'd slap hands. His brother Vicious, I've done a track with recently. We used to sit in a hotel before shows, just me and him, because people would go and like go to the mall or go out for dinner, and he would just want to sit back and smoke blunts with me before the show, because we just like to chill. We didn't want to like exert energy, and we wanted to just like take it all in, almost like that was our meditation time and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And then like. And Spliff Star went out. Busta Rhymes was the most inapproachable individual ever on the road, and I say that in a nice way, where he just had two big ass bodyguards, minimum 350 pounds, that were just like, out of the way, fellas, and you got out of the way. But Spliff, like I said, he'd be like, yo, you guys want to go for breakfast, blah blah blah. And actually, one time I think we were in Saskatoon. And we're out for breakfast, and there's like a guy sitting staring at us, and they're like, excuse me, can we help you? And he's like, I'm just trying to figure out what y'all are. And then he's like, we're human beings, sir. It's just a really funny moment, because when you're out there and you get that like movie feeling when city folk go into the old country.
Totally.
Right? So,
absolutely.
And then my favorite for learning was Naughty by Nature, because when we sat down with them, you have the most respect for a guy that has Tupac on his arm and was around when I remember OPP on a tape I grew up with. You know what I mean? 9 years old, or like, yeah. So like that was kind of like, it's funny because I didn't grow up on Naughty by Nature's music, but everyone in my circle knows who they were, and what they did. And who Tretch was. Vinny was known, but not as well known. But like, so there was a lot of respect there. And then they sat down and had really good words with us in the fact of like, I remember Vinny saying at one point, you guys, like you have good stage presence. You got to keep working on it, keep bringing it up. But I could see why you're here and what you're doing, and we have total respect for it. The one thing we're going to criticize and we got to say, where's your backdrop? Where's your signage? And we're like, shit, because we didn't have a sign or any like built poster or anything to put up when we went on stage. And he goes, you think Batman would have came out if they didn't put the Bat logo in the sky? And I'm like, never forget that quote, because it was one of those like, you got to make these people look at that while you're doing your thing, and while they like you, they look. They like you, they look. And he goes, and that's when they know where to go and what you are. You brand yourself while you're doing what you're doing. And it was a big lesson to learn in that moment. And
I totally agree with all that.
Yeah, and especially with people from them, and even the first tour we did with Royce and D12 and everything like that. Like I said, we built the best relationship by far with Royce. Joe Buttons is anyone knows him. He's a pretty funny character, but at the time I really thought he was a dick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that really, like, you know what? I respect him now because, like, I get it a little more than I did back then. But he just, like, does his own thing, doesn't give a shit what other people think, even if he's bothering them. Like, he would, like, pull up in the VIP, a couple girls would be around, he'd take his shirt off and start doing push-ups, and, like, I'd be like, what is this guy doing? But at the same time, I'm like, he was just being a clown, and, like, just purposely, like, I got video of him in a hotel just clowning a guy on skinny his jeans were, and if he had to, like, use some device to get them on, and like, just, so he's literally just bothering people, but, like, at the same time. But, Royce and them really taught us on that tour how to be far better on stage. We didn't have nearly the confidence we had before that tour, and it was the first tour ever that we did after, because you go on and they teach you how to, and if, like, Kyle would know this for a fact, if you walked and saw my show, say 15 years ago, I did not really talk except for like, yeah, or it's like stupid shit, you know, in between, where you're just trying to fill the gap till they quickly put on the next beat. And the main focus in your head is remember your lyrics and say them correctly. And now I don't even go to a studio to record a song until I can absolutely destroy the song without reading anything. So now you write it and you practice it and you practice it and you practice it, then you go to the studio. And now in the studio, like my buddy even says, because there would be times when the process would take a lot longer, and I will just go out and bang out sometimes 2 16s in one take each time, and say 5 minutes later we're done the verses. But we do it for another half an hour because we don't feel right about that. And then we end up keeping those first 2 takes because he's like, buddy, it was fine. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, it's not because I went in and I just, you know, flawless victory. Look at me, I'm so good at all. It's because practice makes perfect. That's why Allen Iverson should have not said that. I'm just joking. But,
so, wait, I got to interrupt for 1 sec. So that brings me to one of my major questions that I had, and that is, what does your creative process look like? So you just explained part of it, but what does the beginning of that process look like? How do you begin creating a song?
So it kind of depends sometimes. See, for me, and I wish I got into producing, but I've never got into making my own music for myself. So from that perspective, you don't really... I can't, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to say, but like I can't perfectly mesh the sound and then bring the lyrics to the sound that I want. So, but this is the thing for tons of artists out there. So you become a shopper, a consumer, and then you go out and you start working with producers. You start looking at their work, looking at catalogs, shopping everywhere you can go. And I spent years doing this before I literally came up, and I have a solid plan for this as well, because I am not $1 million making artist. I don't rake in enough to, like I said, make a living income off my money. It just makes me enough to put more money. And what I do is put the money that I make off my music back into music. Invest in yourself. It's the best thing you can do. And within that, so you can go out there, and this is actually good advice for any artist out there, because I see so many people that don't know how to do things properly. So a lot of people will take beats off YouTube, SoundCloud, things like that for free, where they download them in a way, or it has a beat tag or something like that, and then they make a song, and they don't really have rights to that song in any way. So sure, they can share it with their friends. They can put it on SoundCloud and get non-profiting streams or something like that, but they can't put it on any streaming media or really build their career or themselves in any way with that music other than locally, which they should have already done at that point. And so basically you shit, sorry, I just got sidetracked for a second there. What you want to, what I had to come up with, so then first thing you should start doing is trying to build relationships with local producers and people in your area that you like, that you dig what they do, and find a few people that are common like that, which is what we did, and I did, especially for the first, I'd say 10 years of my life. And I work exclusively recording and like mixing, mastering, everything at Stay Cool Studios in Oshawa with Ryan White is like my head engineer, and I have done a lot of music with their beats because they're also producers. Now, that being said, because I've done so much work in the past and I'm trying to grow and expand my music, and I want my stuff to sound different while I grow within what I do, I am obviously I'm not working with his beats right this second, and I've decided to do a couple of projects, which I'm working on right now, that are all over the place with a whole bunch of different styles of sounds and a whole bunch of different styles of producers. Now, when you branch out, if you don't build the local relationships, it's hard. Or here's the number one problem for people starting out, and I'm going to say this little footnote lightheartedly. A lot of the reason people don't want to work with you is because you're not very good. Now, you have to understand that if you need to practice within yourself, you can do that with the free beats, with downloading instrumentals of other people and stuff like that, because nobody starts off anything very good, and especially with something like this. And I know a lot of people that are really good at rapping in a freestyle sense but can't write a damn word to save their life, or the complete opposite are amazing writers and write very articulately but can't put a flow together at the same time.
Great
so
point.
that's why practice always makes perfect. You got to bring these two things together, and it's not an overnight process. So you work within yourself when you do that. Don't try to branch out too much, because hip-hop is also a very watered-down industry where, for a guy like me, not being known worldwide, if I go to somewhere else, a different region or area, and try to bring my music to a local circle, it's looked at as like, oh, not by everybody, don't get me wrong, but, oh, you're a rapper? Well, my buddy's a rapper, or my cousin's a rapper. If I'm going to listen to that, listen to this. And then you kind of, and you see where people get dumbed down. It's kind of like getting punched too much in the gut, and now you can't. No, I'm just kidding. That was very harsh.
It's a good analogy. We accept it.
But I just mean it just waters down where there's the level of standard where if we all, and it goes back to what we were talking about within self-awareness, if we're all very self-aware within where we're at, you don't have to be great to start working with people. You just have to be within a level that people see where you're going and can respect it. You can hold down a flow, but you don't write the best lyrics, and you're a little choppy at times, but this is how you're going to grow, because he's not a multi-million-dollar producer either. He's still working on his craft, and you're going to grow together. And then you get to levels with it. When you got to that, then you want to start owning your own music. And it's a massive thing, because if you're going to grow in any level and start making money off what you do, you need to start owning your own music. Now, to fully own exclusive rights of music, if you're not working with a home producer and you're going out shopping, like I said, or not making your own beats, you're going to pay. And if you want really good production that is going to elevate your music to another level, you hear the production and you already like the song that you haven't even made yet. You just got to make sure you do that justice, or elevate that beyond what it already is. So if you know you're already at a high elevation, you're going to get to a great point. That's going to cost you in the range of $300 if you're lucky to $1,500 to exclusively buy that beat. Now, if you're okay with making one song while you're working your job or whatever it is you do, say you're a kid starting out, you probably don't have that much money at 18 years old. Maybe you're working your job collecting $500 a week or something like that. Maybe even less than that, $300 a week. Who knows what it is? But I'm just saying, money is not that expendable. And better be the best song you've ever made, or you should come up with a different plan. Because an album, before you've even started writing, your budget is looking at, so say your album's going to be minimum LP, like 9 to 10 songs. So we'll go with 10 just for the easy math of the situation. You're going to pay $5,000, let's say on average, just to start with your beats. You haven't even hit a studio yet. And if you don't have the relationship, now thank God I do, where I don't pay for studio time and stuff like that. This is, my buddy believes in me and I believe in him, and we're trying to build together. And just the same thing as me and Kyle, where if you got to pay for all this stuff, most people don't have $15,000, $20,000 to go out and do stuff like this. But there's a way where almost every producer has leasing available. Now, leasing by 50% of the people I talk to is very shunned upon, because with leasing, that beat is still available to other people. And right there, the average person cringes a bit, and you're going, wait a minute, so you can make a song and put it out there, and then someone can make a song and the same thing and put it out there? And then you go, yeah, but let me tell you everything based on this. Okay, number one is you can lease a beat for $50 to $100 typically for unlimited rights, meaning you can sell that song, put it on streaming media, it can be streamed, and you can make as much money off it as possible. Basically, you own your song, but the producer is going to take 50%. You have to give them credits for everything. So, again, you're only going to get 50%. But if your song blows up, so say you put it out there and you got 20,000 streams in the first week you put it out, you then go back to the producer and you say, listen, this song is exactly what I wanted it to be, but it doesn't always work out that way. More often than not, it doesn't. And you buy that exclusive rights, and you pay your $500 to $1,000 for that one song that is already blowing up, that you know revenue is now coming back in for that song, and it's going to be 100% of yours. Now, if it doesn't blow up, and say after a month you've maxed out at 2,000 streams, and now you're picking up a couple streams every day. And it's still getting listened to, but it's not growing, and you're already working on the next thing, so to speak. Well, isn't it better that you made $10 instead of $20, or $20 instead of $40, splitting those rights in those 3 months just to share it? And then another question I ask is, how many times have you ever heard two people have the same song? Even if it is out there, it does not touch, because if one person does make it popular, the other one never will. So if somebody makes a song popular and yours isn't, that's your fault, and good for them. So basically just saying, but you got to have some type of strategic plan where you keep things within your right. So what I do is I unlimited rights by the lease to every single thing I do now when I'm not working with exclusive people, which I still do as well. So I'd say it's 50-50 now. And so sometimes I work with local producers. And don't get me wrong, like while I elevate, there's a lot of people that reach out that tell me they'd love to work with me. And I always take that in a very humbled manner. And I say, send me something and let's do it. Let's get it all the time. Like, it's sometimes the timing may not work out, and you're not going to get this back immediately because I got a lot on the go, because I keep saying let's do it to everyone, but it's going to happen at some point.
All right.
So yeah.
I want to just talk about a song that you put out last fall. It's called Game On. I have a clip of it, and I would love to share it with our listeners if you don't mind, and then we can discuss it after. Is that okay with you guys?
Of course.
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. All right. Here it is. Game On.
Yeah. Woo! I used to find the time to kick around tonight. Now from time to time I realize there's never time to kick around my mind. Thought I tried to bond, but realized I never shot for shit. Trying to get a handle on my life, can never find a grip. Wonder if my people really got me on a spinal tip. Cold up in the north, we walk on ice, but I ain't trying to slip. Trying to walk a narrow path, so I barrel forward fast. Work for what I got up in this life, ain't looking for a path. Fuck a forward pass and keep it lateral, literal, pitiful. Motherfuckers, you should've known that I keep it physical. So keep it to a minimal with all your subliminals. Boy, you better be literal, I ain't trying to be a criminal. Nah, so keep on sleeping outside, I'll keep on keeping it raw. I'll keep on spitting till I'm broken my jaw. I'm dedicated and medicated, the feeling got me elevated. It's escalated in a way that I can never hate it. Oh, motherfucker, yeah, we came to play. We ain't trying to win, only trying to save the day. So come on, motherfucker, come on. Bring it on, bitch. Game on, motherfucker, yeah, we came to play.
Wow. So this is why I described your music as fiery. It has a fire to it. It's so amazing. Wow. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
What was the inspiration behind that song, and who did you collaborate with on that?
The inspiration on that song, you know, I had that beat. That was produced by Stay Cool Studios, like I said, Stay Cool Productions. And I had that beat for probably 6 months. And literally just couldn't kind of come to terms with what I wanted to do with it. But I knew, I was like, this beat is a banger and I need to use this beat. And then, so the second artist on the track is my buddy McKee, who actually, funny enough, you will not find any music from McKee, no matter where you look, anywhere on the internet or the world. But because he is an original member of AFAM, back in high school, and we started rapping with me and my buddy Flex, me and Flex kind of grew, like I said, into Nino Nickel, and McKee just, he never had the drive or the interest enough to keep it going. So I don't want to say he fizzled out, but he just didn't do what we were doing and didn't have his self-drive. So, but he's always loved rap, and he's still my good buddy. And he spits 16s to me all the time that he writes down. And like I said, because I had that beat for so long, I was playing it, and he's like, man, you got to get me on this track. You got to get me on this track. And then he started spitting the record or spitting what he had to, and I'm like, man, that's sick. Like, he always was a guy with bars. That's why I rapped with him back in the day. He's a very old school punchline rapper, though, the type that every line has like a metaphorical kind of hint to it, and you got to think a little extra when you hear it. So and I've always appreciated that type of stuff, and he does that more than anyone I know. So seeing that or hearing that from him was like, all right, we're going to do this. I'm going to bring you back. It's going to be a reunion. It's going to be great. And then I'm like, but I want to do a little something else. and bring like someone else to the table on this. Let's make this like one of those, almost like a cipher, and where everyone knows when a bunch of rappers that can really spit come together in a circle and just rap their asses off to a good like head nodding old school beat. It's the root of hip hop. So that's what this beat really felt to me. It was like, this is a cipher beat. This is where people need to, you know, just go in, just come to this. Like the way I kind of like pictured it at first was like, you know, like you're sitting there on a blank screen and like everyone kind of just runs into the ring or whatever it is, like just spitting their verse type thing, like on some hype shit like that. And then and I was like, all right, I got to get some spitters on this track. And like I said, I try to work with people that I respect in the area that I think will bring something to the track that will elevate it to a new level. And immediately, obviously, I thought of Young Stitch, because Stitch is just killing it right now. And literally, the man is everywhere right now, doing competitions, winning competitions. I see him drop videos as features with everyone, because everyone's reaching out to the man. Like, so I have nothing but respect for what he's doing, and he's always humbled to work with me. So, as I am with him. And so I'm like, Stitch, you want to jump on a track? Let's go. And then I went out one night. We're probably at Rib Fest or some shit like that. I can't remember, but I'm out in Pickering, right by Kyle's house, actually. Not to air you out. But
that's where the Rib Fest goes on. That's sort of where I live.
Yeah, right. And I run into Stitch, and he's with his boy Riyadh, Reality. And funny enough, Riyadh, like a few times before, actually it was a while before, but hit me up, and he was like, do you know I recorded the first song of my life at your house when you had like a makeshift studio back in the day? I'm like, no, I never knew that. He's like, yeah, you were in the basement wilding out, but yeah. And I'm like, wow, man, it's funny how this stuff comes full circle. So he's like Stitch's like main dude. Like they run hand in hand, and he's really elevating himself, doing good things. So I'm like, let's go. You're gonna get on this record too, and we're gonna, you know, we're all gonna throw down and we're gonna do it. And they do a lot. Like I said, I'm trying to branch my music into new areas. This was probably the last song of that like old school boom bap flavor you're gonna hear for a little bit from me, because I want to have a little more, I don't want to say future sound, because like I can't get into certain, like, it's still got to have a nice set of drums, because I come from a drum family. I need to feel that in my heart and soul.
In the blood.
Yeah, so I need the, you know, I mean, it's got to have something to it, like a nice bass line or drum line or something, but like it's you know, people will hear if you check into what I'm doing. Like the Get Down is a song that I think we're going to talk about, and that's the start of what you'll hear. I don't really change my style. I'm not like doing auto-tune. I'm not singing, but it's a whole different flavor of sound. It's kind of funk, that one. And then I just released another song, my newest single that dropped on April 17th, is about my daughter. And it's actually my first song that's completely clean from head to toe. It's called Part of Me. And it's literally just about being a father, how she changed my life, and how I feel that fathers should feel, or parents for that matter. I don't even want to isolate, but parents should feel about their children. And it just, and I got this girl, Rachel Jeans, on the hook, and she sings, and it just brings out the beauty. It's a beautiful song. It's this type of song that made my mama cry. You know what I mean?
I want to interject just for a second, because that song was really powerful to me as well, especially because it was about your daughter, and part of, you know, your lyrics, it goes, every day I'm thankful for the only real miracle, in reference to her. And that says so much. Like, it's really deep, you know? And I realized when I heard that song, and especially those lyrics, you know, how much your daughter has changed your perspective on life. So can you talk about that? Because that's pretty incredible.
Oh, of course I can. Well, to be honest, like growing up, I was kind of a fuckboy, and when I say that, I talk about myself in the nicest of ways when I say this. But no, just in the manner, like, you know, we all wanted to be like bad boy, fucking cool kid on the block, and me and my buddies were the feared crew in high school and stuff like that. So, and to be honest with you, I'll be honest, there's a lot of it that I'm not proud of. And I'm not going to say I'm ashamed of it, because it was a part of my process of growing up to becoming who I am now. But I look back and I don't like certain things that, like, I've heard people that I'm friends with now that I knew in high school but wasn't friends with, and they're like, man, you were unapproachable. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And I'm like, what do you mean? And like, you really understand the perspectives of other individuals. And really, they were misunderstanding me. It wasn't that I was unapproachable. It was just that in environments when you don't know a person, a vibe can be totally different than when you get beneath with a human being, right? So that within that right there, it made me kind of come. It was more in the self-awareness thing. It was another growth in my self-awareness tip, where to learning to who I am from a perception of other human beings type of person. And that then having, so right before I had my daughter, literally we were drinking probably from 18 years old to 25 years old every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Almost everyone, unless there was something important to do with like family or something. It was a thing that we had to, if we're going to the studio, we're going to drink. If we're going to the club, we're drinking. Like, when I look back at that, like, I barely drink anymore. I'm such a social drinker. I maybe get drunk, and I do the bunny ears in quotations when I say that, like 4 or 5 times a year, because for now, business is way more important than pleasure to me. And don't get me wrong, I want to have fun growing within what I do. There's tons of pleasure within my child. But so there was a real turn in my mind that I don't want this lifestyle to continue, but I don't know how to break it because I've been doing it for so long. And do I just stop hanging out with these people? But these are my people. So it was a real crossroads. And I ended up taking my first before tour drive across Canada in a car with my buddy to visit my buddy in Vancouver. And we took a 5-day drive, and that was kind of like collect my thoughts and get away from everything. And I came back, and it wasn't that long after where I met a girl, and she was pregnant pretty soon after. Like, it wasn't my child wasn't planned, so it was a thing that, because when you're planned, you're completely ready and you're waiting for this to happen. When this happened, it was kind of a amazing shock to me, where I was like, it's funny because now I see, like, when you watch a movie and you see a guy like frown or be like, what do you mean, when someone tells them they're pregnant, I like want to slap that guy myself, because I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because immediately it was like, here it is. Here's my opportunity to like have this self-value that I've always coveted of myself in life, and to have it because of what I'm going to do, which is anything for another human being that I am solely responsible for. She is in this, and it's another thing. I went into the thing that, like, do you want to know what you're having? I'm like, I know I'm having a girl. I know that for a fact because I've been such a fuck boy growing up through my 20s. There's no way I'm getting a boy. I need a girl to learn how to treat a woman properly.
That's what they say.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll just tell you right now, you are having a girl. I'm like, no problem. But I knew that.
I knew it.
Yeah, it was really funny. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's so great. It's like divine intervention sometimes, You're given what you need for your own evolution and the love that, was brought to your life also. I'm jumping around a little bit only because we only have 20 minutes left, but I would love to know, you and Kyle have been friends for so long, and I know that you've recently done, numerous music videos together. Game On, the song that I just played, was produced by Kyle. What was that like, working together, especially for you, Kyle, knowing that this was the song that was almost an end, temporarily, possibly, to a genre of music before Zaze is kind of moving into a new type of genre?
That video was really fun for me because I think that was the first time when we filmed a video that had either a feature or multiple people. Before we were just doing the videos just solo with just him, but that was the first time we did a video with 3 features, and it was we filmed it actually last year on Labor Day, and it was the last day of the summer, and we wanted to film it in this alleyway with a bunch of graffiti on it, and probably about 10 minutes into filming, one of the people that lived above in the houses kind of ran out and started yelling at us and chased us out of there, and we had to end up filming the rest of it on the other side of the building. Wow.
That's intense. Okay.
I'm sure Zaze remembers that.
I'll be quick. If anybody knows Oshawa, it's got some, like any major city, in the downtown, it's got some real shoddy areas. And this was like We saw some questionable things on the ground in that alley. Let's just put it that way. And the guy came out and he's like, "What are you guys doing out here? Get the hell out of here!" And I was almost ready to tell him, "Hey, it looks like a lot more people sit in this alley doing more questionable things than we're doing," and kind of get into it a bit. But everyone else was like, "Let's just get the hell out of here." So I'm like, "All right, I'm not even going to do this right now."
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, then we just went to the other side of the building. It was not nearly as colorful, but it was the exact same setup. So it still worked for us. We made it work. We always make it work.
The video was still a complete success. So
yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. And I will end the show with the new genre of music that you were just referring to, and that's with the song Get Down. So I'll end the show with that, just so everybody knows that song is going to be called Get Down. But before, I really want to know a few more things. I hate when the time is running out. I feel like it's never enough time, you know. There's so many things that I want to pick your brain about. But how has your attitude and mindset gotten you as far as you've come?
How has it, sorry, what do you mean? How has it gotten? Like, how has it shaped through time?
You know, how have you moved through your career the way that you have for so long? Because we're talking about 15 plus years. You know,
okay.
Your attitude and mindset, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's basically within, like, and this is what I find funny. If I find if someone starts doing something and they quit in 5 years, they never really wanted to do it in the first place. They just kind of, or you did it in the first place for the complete wrong reason. That's why it ended the way it did. And with me, like I said, when I was a child, I was a dreamer, and now I've solidified my perspective on why I do things in life. But that doesn't mean I stopped dreaming. So, and another quote I heard from it was a billionaire that wrote a book, and I can't remember the name, so I can't tell you to look it up. But it was basically, if you think you have lived the best years of your life already, and I don't care what age you are, then you've already lost. Because the best years of your life are like, you know, the most opportunistic, however you want to look at it, are always ahead of you if you're willing to drive and pursue for more. So that right there is something, I take quotes like that and I carry them with me. And I'm the type of guy that I'm very hard on myself internally. I think we all have a voice inside. I don't know how conscious of it everyone is in the world. That's not something I can speak for, but I know that we all have conversations with ourselves where basically I will internally insult myself if I have a thought of quitting something I'm going to do, if you know what I mean. I'm like,
that's great.
You know, one of those things like, yeah, like, don't be a fucking piece of shit. Pick yourself up, get back out there, and do what you set out to do, you fucking asshole. And I'm like, Jesus, like, settle down. But yeah, so basically, like, I am very hard on myself in that manner, but hard on myself enough that, you know, it's for a good reason. I'm not sitting there just beating up on myself and being depressed. I'm pretty happy, go lucky guy.
Yeah, you push yourself, and that is exactly what I meant by how has your attitude and mindset gotten you to where you are and how far you've come in this industry, because some people show up in this business and they last, you know, a couple of years and then they're gone completely. And these are people who've, you know, come to a really high level, have major hits out, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I feel like it takes a certain type of mentality, mindset, and attitude to continue and to have a lengthy career, right? So
yeah,
that's
for sure.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to get into your brain a little bit, and I love what you described.
See if I can quick tidbit this in, but nothing with me is quick. But when I had my kid, was basically at the same time we just ended a tour. Just before that with Tech N9ne, we had 2 shows left, and we were driving my Chevy Blazer at the time, and we flipped it in a snowstorm in Alberta, and wrote the vehicle off, and we all had to fly home. It was a very fucked up incident where we all kind of like checked ourselves for a minute, and that's kind of, and then I had my kid shortly after, and 9 nickel dissipated. So the funny thing with this and the mentality is that, like, as a kid growing up, before I even realized what we were doing, because it was all fun, we were doing awesome things and making big moves in the industry, like doing these tours across Canada with major artists and stuff like that. And then the whole band group, whatever you want to call it, dissipated itself. And then we all became solo artists or whatever. Some didn't even rap anymore, doing their own things within their own careers. And that was a separate, like, where I find if you're really not into this, that was the quitting moment. Because then I had to rebrand myself as a solo artist, do everything on my own again, build my own new relationships. And, you know, I was used to doing one verse, like doing a full set with a group, but doing one verse per song because my group is doing verses too and stuff like that. Where now I'm holding down 15, 20, 25 minutes all by myself every time I step on the stage. So now it's time to elevate your stage game, elevate. So for me, there was crossing roads where the average individual could definitely have quit and removed themselves from this. But for me, those were moments of strength. Well, now looking back, those were moments where I intensified what I was doing and literally have become so much stronger because of that. Because like my stage show now is so based on how you control a crowd without your music as well as your music, which before, like I said, it was always about please remember your lyrics. Now that's not an issue. So, yeah, anyway, I know I was rambling a little bit, but, yeah, that's just a little point I was trying to make there.
I love the synergy because you've answered so many of the questions that I had without me having to ask them, which is so amazing, and that was one of them. You know, the tough times, the tough times in your life, you know, and the trials and tribulations. Were they times where you've, you know, almost given up, or were they things that kind of propelled you even more? And you just answered that, so thank you. And I feel like you're such an inspiration for our listeners, especially people who are in this industry. And on that note, what kind of advice would you give to people who are starting out in the rap, hip-hop industry and are struggling?
Well, like I said throughout, I hope you took some footnotes on the points of, like, if you're buying beats and stuff like that, how to do it from the start and then how to excel into new levels with your music. But I strongly recommend you got to take a look at yourself in the mirror, even if it's when you're rapping, and make sure before you branch yourself onto that next level, because you want people to want you. And we all can't do that, like I said from the beginning. So practice what you're doing. And the best way to start personally for me was on other people's beats. Take your favorite songs from your favorite artists, download the instrumentals, and write your own versions of those songs. Or, like, keep the hooks if you want. You don't have to work on your hook game. Worry about that later. And just write verses. Work on your verses and work on that. And then build the confidence within yourself. And then when you have the confidence, I strongly recommend, because I am not just a recording artist, and I don't think you can build your brand or what you do. I know you can in this day and age, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my way, is to get yourself to start performing what you're doing and getting to a level where you can now sell your music through your performances, because good artists are better to watch live than they are to listen to. Now, not every song works that way, don't get me wrong, but we all would love to listen to our favorite artist do a live song well, other than listen to it on a record, because we can listen to the record every day. The live performance is special. It brings a little something different to the table. So work on that as well. That's the best way. Tech N9ne is a great example. He never hit mainstream, and he sold millions of records now, and that's based on the fact that I know for one point he was touring 261 days out of a year. That's crazy to me. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, that is crazy. But I'm just saying that's how he built his brand, and now everybody knows who he is, and now he is kind of in the mainstream because you can't avoid him, because he put himself everywhere. So build yourself to a level where you're confident, and please be aware of what you're doing, because some of us aren't made for this, and we all want to rap, just like I wanted to play basketball. Now I play in a rec men's league because all I can do is shoot a three. I suck at driving to the rim. So like I'm saying, so you need to have that self-awareness. But if it's your passion and you're just starting, 100% pursue your dream, practice, and build yourself on a proper level. Don't overshoot yourself at the wrong times. Build relationships with people that are at the same level or just below or above what you're doing, and also you're going to have to garnish that relationship like someone would with you, with the talent level. Like, you want to build with someone that you feel is working towards what you're trying to work towards at the same time. Don't just build with someone because they've been doing it for 3 months as well. But I think that would be common sense. But, and then, like I said, work with other artists' beats, get yourself comfortable, rap in the mirror to yourself, get comfortable with yourself, because when you start performing live, I still get butterflies before I hit the stage, but as soon as I grab a microphone on stage, everything goes away. I can even be, I've had fevers, and don't tell the other artists that took the mic after me this, but I have had fevers and literally left my house a half an hour before the show, got there with 15 minutes before I had to go on, just because I'm always a guy who's never going to cancel. I'm going to do what I set out to do, because it's an opportunity you may not have again. And please take your opportunities that you get in life, because you don't know when you will have them again, for many reasons. And like I said, I've gone on, and I've had my buddies, Kyle's been there, and it's like, are you sure you're going to be okay to do this? You don't look so good, man. And then I get on stage and boom, I'm exploding, jumping all over the place, screaming, like demanding things from the crowd. And then I get off and I'm sweating buckets and dying again. But that's the point. There's an on and off switch, and you got to get to that. It took me a long time to get to that level. Don't get me wrong. Like, I absolutely own my stage show now, but I did not have that for 13 of my 15 years. So like I said, like, if you could do it in 2, and like, because I did it in 2. I just chose the 13th year to start really doing it. Right? So
all right.
That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, anyway.
That's amazing advice, and especially for our listeners. You know, a lot of people are striving in this business, entertainment industry in general, but the music industry, we know, can be really, really tough. So before I play Get Down, tell me about True Aspect Media. What are you guys doing with True Aspect Media? And in addition to that, what's up with 9-0-Nickel?
You can start that, Kyle.
Kyle, it's all you.
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, maybe we
did.
I'm
here, sorry.
Maybe it's all... you're there. It's all good.
I'm here. Yeah, so I can talk about True Aspect Media, but I can't talk about 9-0-Nickel. I'm not affiliated with 9-0-Nickel, but True Aspect Media, we're basically, I specialize in now I do videos on the side as kind of side projects, and I also prior to the COVID-19 lockdown, I was doing a lot of concert photography and write-ups for Hip Hop Canada.
Awesome.
But right now, all I really have due to the situation is just have a few video projects going on. So I'm going to have a few videos coming out in the next month or so. One's going to be for Zaze's new track, The Get Down, that you're going to play, and then one for another guy called Dave Mack. He's also from Ontario, and those are the two videos coming up.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And what's up with 9-0-Nickel, Zaze?
So 9-0-Nickel is from the very beginning, that was actually when I told the story about AFAM and me and my buddy Flex and McKee, and we came together with my buddy Peter Jackson and K Stu right around the end of high school. That's when we formed 9-0-Nickel, and 9-0-Nickel started as our group, and it was literally the 4 of us, and that's how we started to do things. And then since, like I said, that incident where kind of we all hit our solo paths and started doing our own thing in life, and PJ has really taken 9-0-Nickel from a group to a label now, and I am an artist, but right now what I'm trying to do with myself is like, do you know how let me give an easy example, like how Shady signed to Dre and he was on his label, and then when he started to do his own thing, he created Shady Records, and then he started doing her own thing. So right now I'm trying to rebrand within my own thing as a part of 9-0-Nickel as my conglomerate. So, because I'm really trying to entrepreneur and really own everything. That was a big part of me and Kyle also starting True Aspect Media, where we don't want to reach out to as many people as we don't have to, because we have the capability to do everything on our own. So that's what I'm trying to do right now with 9-0-Nickel. But 9-0-Nickel was the start of it all and is now an entertainment company that literally, so like I did Onyx. Onyx was brought around by 9ne Nickel, and every artist that comes around Oshawa is a 9ne Nickel presents show. Everything I release, 9ne Nickel presents under the sub-label. Mad Child signed to the label. JRDN, Jordan, is signed to the label. They're Canadian artists. I don't know. I imagine some people have heard of them. They're doing pretty well for themselves.
Awesome.
And yeah, so really it's become it's turned from a group, from a few boys that had a dream, and it's propelled everyone off in our own directions, and it's now a successful entertainment company that's representing Canada pretty well as a whole. So
that's amazing. It sounds, yeah, it's like an umbrella brand, right? Like 9ne Nickel is the umbrella, and then there's these little branches off of that umbrella brand. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And like me and Peter Jackson are very strong-minded individuals where we're still buddies, but we have our own ideas and directions that we wanted to take things. So that's why without any beef or anything at all, it's just one of those things where now we're like growing into our own healthy directions, right? So
that's amazing. That's so perfect. You know, you got to have the freedom to be yourself, to do your own thing, but you guys have what you had together and still do, but, you know, you're individuals, and that's all.
And 9ne Nickel is a 905, and we are from the 905 area, just in case anyone didn't know that.
I was just going to say that. So I lived in Toronto for 10 years, and I heard the term 905ers many, many times. So when I was asking Kyle about 9ne Nickel, he broke it down for me. So 905 is the area code, guys. 9ne Nickel. Very clever.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, and I definitely want to be able to play your song. So thank you both for joining us today.
Not a problem.
I wish we had more time. Next time, I know that we need 3 hours, the full episode time frame. But yeah, because there's just so much to talk about, and you have so much insight to share. Oh, but thank you both so much.
Not a problem at all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a great night.
Take care, guys. And listeners, this is Zaze's song, Get Down, video coming soon by him and Kyle.
My money to burn, saving this stupid, I wonder when dummies will learn. Leasing their honeys, they usually coming for sperm. I'm finished with coming in turns. Where are we going with this? Where the fuck are we going with this? Make it clap for me, baby. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high, cause you never know when you're gonna go. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high, cause you never know when you're gonna go. We get down with the underground sound bass, thunder pound, loud face, down to my underground crowd. We get down with the underground sound bass, thunder pound, loud face, down to my underground crowd. Let go. Every day it's the same old shit to me. Hip-hop got the same old history. Man jacked off, same old bitch to me. Girls act up just for him to see. Sick of these rappers that been talking money with none in their pockets. I think it's so funny with gold on their neck but no food in their